Hello, thanks for coming back for a little more work on our mental shift that we're making away from lazy thinking and over to doing more critical thinking. Today I'm going to throw a little Latin at you, just 4 phrases, they're Latin phrases that explain 4 types of arguments that people make that we ought to be on the lookout for. These are not really sound arguments. They're somewhat manipulative. So we need to be aware when they're happening, and we need to be able to take steps to avoid getting sucked in by these kinds of arguments. And of course, as good critical thinkers, we also want to avoid using this kind of argumentation to try to cause others to be persuaded by what we're sharing. We can be so much more effective if we don't use cheap tactics like these. Okay, the first one is called Argumentum ad ignoradium. And that phrase from Latin means it's true because there is no evidence to disprove it. It's true because it hasn't been proven false. Now, I just can't buy into this one because I think there's an awful lot that we simply do not know. Our humility ought to cause us to say, wait a minute, just because we don't have all the information doesn't mean it's true or untrue. It means we don't know. An example of this particular type of false argument would be, it's true that there is life on Jupiter. I know it's true because it's never been proven false. See how simplistic that is? How overreaching that sort of a statement actually is? So we don't want to fall into that trap. By the way, with all 4 of these, here's something that's a little bit fun to do. As you listen to political speeches, you can bust politicians on just about all 4 of these, sometimes in rapid fire, all in the same speech. So look for those examples when someone is telling you something is true just because it hasn't been proven false. Here's another one. This one is called Argumentum ad Misericordiam. And Argumentum ad Misericordiam means that you win the argument by appealing to someone's mercy or pity. You don't have the logic to back up your argument. You don't have the facts. You can't persuade by making a logical case. So instead, you go for this emotional appeal. You play to someone's pity or mercy. And this is really effective. Have you ever seen one of those ads from the Humane Society or from St. Jude's Children's Hospital? They get me every time because they are appealing to my sense of mercy. When this is used in place of logic, or when you don't go after the emotion to check into a place like St. Jude's Children's Hospital to find out the logical case for the decision that you're about to make, then you have allowed yourself to be swept up without doing the critical thinking that's necessary. Okay, the third Latin term today is Argumentum ad populum. And that one is appealing to the masses. Appealing to the masses, having a bandwagon effect, that can involve emotion too. It might be nostalgia. It might be someone's fear of missing out. It oftentimes uses trite expressions because those are shortcuts that immediately zero in on something that we have in common or want to have in common with others. So it could be something like blue-collar values, or as American as apple pie, or all American, right? We have all these sort of phrases that are used in politics to unify us and to cause us to buy the argument because of its mass appeal. Critical thought, critical reflection, taking time to evaluate the merits of the argument versus getting swept up by a trite phrase like that, well, that's where you become a better critical thinker and don't rely on lazy thinking. Last but not least is argumentum ad verecundiam. That's also known as the false authority fallacy. And let's face it, we do rely on a lot of false authorities. Think about this for a minute. How qualified are Hollywood celebrities to inform you about politics or other matters? I'm reminded of the old, probably early 80s commercial where someone said, "I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV." And the ad was for cough syrup, Vicks 44. And this person who was an actor, he happened to be an actor playing a doctor on TV, suddenly was imbued with this false authority. And just because an actor who played a doctor on TV recommended a particular cough syrup, it significantly boosted sales of that cough syrup. Don't let yourself get sucked into something like that. Question the authority, the credibility, the knowledge. Why does that person have an opinion that should influence me? Right? We all want to do our own thinking. So look for those examples in politics. Challenge these 4 types of argumentation when you see them happening, and try not to exhibit this in your own argumentation, because you can do better. You're working to build mental agility and to become a better critical thinker. So apply what you know in good logical explanations versus these cheap tricks.